Thank you for staying tuned. Well, while Wednesday's national elections will provide more certainty for South African markets in the weeks ahead, this period also provides a window of opportunity to reflect on the first quarter's performance to determine the path required for a better 2019. Now, South Africa's rand was mostly unchanged in early trade on Friday as vote counting showed the ruling African National Congress to hold a commanding lead in an election for a new parliament and provisional legislatures. Now, the rand is expected to trade in the range of 14.25 to 14.40 rand to the dollar. For more on the elections and, of course, update on the markets, let's talk to our correspondent there in South Africa, Becky Malay. Hello, Becky. Good afternoon. Thank you for coming through to us.
Yes, good afternoon.
So you are at the Collation Center. What's the mood like there? What level of optimism or pessimism have you observed?
Well, the mood here, there's quite a bit of tension. The bigger parties are a bit happy, but the smaller parties are not that happy. They are unhappy with the results. They think that the results need independent auditors to come and audit them. Even though, some of the independent observers have said the elections were free and fair, but the smaller parties feel that the elections were not free nor fair, and they are not happy. So there's a bit of tension on the ground between the bigger parties and the smaller parties.
Now, it's been a busy week, I know, for you guys out there. How has the market reacted so far?
Well, if you notice this morning, the rand has gained strength because the rand is currently standing at 14.3 as compared to the other week where it went as down as 14.7. So investor confidence is slowly gaining, seeing that the African National Congress is leading, and it's leading by quite a margin because it's standing at around 8 million votes against the strongest opposition is currently standing at about 3 million votes. So I think the market has reacted positively to the news, and we hope it will stay that way.
All right. So what's the outlook for next week?
Well, honestly, we still need to wait for the final results, and we need to wait for the IEC to announce what will happen because the smaller parties are contesting the election. So we still need to make sure, we still need to hear what will the final result be, and if indeed next week we'll have a new government, and which government will that be. And then I think from there we can foretell how the market will look like. But at the moment, we can see a slight change, some positivity, and honestly, we are just hoping and praying that it will remain that way because this is good for the South African economy.
Now, do you think that Ramaphosa is actually set to fix the economy if given a second chance as the president?
Well, he has made it a point that after he takes office, after the inauguration, he will push all the projects that are on the ground. He has made it a point that he will push that all action and no words only. So we are living on hope because, it's politics. We don't know what will happen after elections. But he has made promises, and he has actually opened the doors to the media, questioning him, and he has allowed the media to hold briefings every once in 3 months to just ask him how far has he gone with what he promised. And he has opened those doors. So we are positive, and we hope that he will live up to his promises.
All right. Thank you very much for your time, Becky. Enjoy the rest of the weekend. And Uganda's economy is expected to grow 6.3% in the final year starting in July, the same pace predicted for this year as delays to oil production and domestic and regional political tensions drag on prospects. According to the International Monetary Fund, the main risks to the outlook are unfavorable weather conditions, domestic and regional political tensions, and further delays in the start of oil production. However, business sentiment remains strong amid favorable monetary policy conditions, and public infrastructure investments can help push growth to 7% in the medium term. The East African country's central bank says that the economy needs to expand by at least 7% a year in order to provide jobs as its young population enters the workforce. And the International Monetary Fund has agreed a 3-year lending program with Congo Republic subject to the government's fulfillment of reforms and approval by the IMF's executive board. Negotiations over a bailout for the oil-dependent economy have dragged on since 2017 as Congolese authorities failed to convince the IMF that they were doing enough to control the national debt or tackle corruption. But Congo's reduction of its debt load and an agreement struck last month to restructure $2 billion in debt to China led the IMF to back a program. The agreed measures include submitting a report to Parliament on opaque oil-backed loans that the State Petroleum Company has taken out with private lenders. The mission also projects Congo's economy to grow more than 5% in 2019, mainly because of a rise in oil production and prices. And Zimbabwe's state-owned power utility warns that it may ration electricity supplies as low water levels reduce output from its biggest hydro plant, while aging coal-fired generators are shuttered or running out at reduced capacity. According to Zimbabwe Electricity Transmission and Distribution Company, Kariba Power Station, which is already operating at half capacity, will reduce generation further to 358 megawatts from 542 megawatts. As Zimbabwe enters its peak winter power demand season, the DISCO advises companies and private households to reduce electricity consumption, especially during periods of high demand. Power cuts will hit the mining sector hardest, adding to difficulties in a country already grappling with a lack of US dollars, soaring prices, and shortages of fuel, food, and medicines. And platinum miner Lonmin, which is in the process of being taken over by Stillwater, expects full-year sales to be at the lower end of its target range. The London-based company, which operates in South Africa, said total platinum production tumbled 10.3% to 276,020 ounces for the 6 months ended March 31. Lonmin's first half was hampered by what it called low morale and high management turnover due to delays in closing the Simba Steel deal, as well as safety stoppages and power outages related to South African power supplier Eskom. Owing to that, Lonmin said full-year sales will be at the lower end of a target range of 640,000 to 670,000 platinum ounces, and it raised cost guidance to 13,600 to 14,400 rand per ounce produced from the 12,900 to 13,400 rand it had earlier expected. Lonmin has been cutting thousands of jobs and reining in costs to weather tough market conditions. In April, it agreed to a revised all-stock deal with Johannesburg-listed Simba Stillwater. And oil prices rose in early trade on Friday, even as the U.S. President Trump's tariff hike on Chinese goods kept tension high in the trade dispute between the world's two biggest economies. Brent crude oil was up 45 cents at $70.84 a barrel, while U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude futures were up 43 cents at $62.13, having earlier hit $62.49. Prices were supported by tighter supply amid continuing production cuts by the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries and U.S. sanctions on Iran and Venezuela. And that's a wrap on the show for today and, of course, for the week. Thank you for joining us. I'm Chimizi Obi Uwabu.